pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bozak,
Here.
Commissioner Insland,
Here.
Commissioner Scott is absent.
She texted me a few minutes ago, she's gonna be here, but she'll be late.
Okay. Commissioner McCarg.
Here.
Commissioner Loving.
Here. Yeah. All right. Approval of minutes, February 9th, 2022.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Insland,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Bozak,
Yes.
Commissioner Loving.
Yes. Approval of minutes, March 9th, 2022.
Second.
Motion.
Motion.
I can't make motions, otherwise I would.
Sorry. Messed that one up.
So motion by Jennifer, second by Brad.
Sure.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bozak,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Insland,
Yes.
Commissioner Loving.
Yes. Reports, Roseanne,
Nothing to report.
Brad,
No.
Jennifer.
No.
Clerk treasurer is not here. Clay.
No, sir.
Ian is not here. But that's okay, because it's time for the main event, and that's Tina.
Good evening, everyone. I'll cover Marquette and Westport in our old business section. So here I'll just speak to, we continue to have inquiries into sites within Burns Harbor. So from an economic development standpoint, there are sites, new properties coming onto the market. There's interest in our existing properties. There also is, I'm having interaction on a monthly basis with IEDC and the Northwest Indiana Forum, both of which have partnered together on various state projects or other initiatives. So there is a little bit more activity on just how Burns Harbor fits into the larger economic development operations within this region and state. So as opportunities and more information comes available, I'll share that in future meetings. And I think that's all I have on the report side.
Okay. Is Mr. Schnabel on?
No, he had sent an email that he wasn't gonna be here.
Okay.
I have the annual treasurer report and the RDC's 2021 annual report.
And that should be, we should have hard copies of those.
Yes, you do.
So you're good to read those at your convenience. All right, old business. Marquette Greenway Trail update, Tina.
So just give you an update. There are multiple phases to Marquette Greenway. Last year, you'll remember that we constructed the next level trail section, which is here from State Road 149 over to Portage. SCH was out with Gary Up, which was the construction firm, to look at some of the warranty issues on that segment of trail. They did identify some longitudinal cracks that appeared last year, that those have not worsened and do not inhibit the use of the trail or any present any ADA issues. So it's more of a cosmetic blemish in the trail as opposed to something that's related to, construction issue. As part of our coastal program grant, we'll be creating an operations and maintenance plan that would address the long-term care of the trail. So that was just something they noted as being important, as here's some things you'd want to consider with respect to that. But that grant is complete, but that was just a warranty issue, a follow-up from last year as we moved here into the spring. Let's see. We have, so phase 1A of the Marquette Greenway Trail. So this is the section that is essentially in the northeast corner of the 28-acre site, and basically kind of runs Stanley up to the river. So this project is, back in December, the Redevelopment Commission authorized SEH to move forward with the right-of-way on that project. This is that involves acquisition of the McCullough property. So that contract's been executed and they can proceed with those right-of-way activities. Last month, we reported the environmental was approved at the state level, so we've got the okay to move forward on our projects. So phase 1A, there's the right-of-way project. The second piece to that was we had released a RFP for construction engineering services. That RFP process took a little bit more time just to get through the review and so forth. But I would like to report the results of that. So we had a selection committee that was comprised of Tony Iancardi, Brad Enslin, and Nick Loving. And we had 4 respondents for the CE services. Those firms were SEH of Indiana, Michael Baker, Global Engineering, and Avon Marsh. The selection team each rated each of those firms based on the NDOT criteria, and the weighted scores resulted in the highest score going to Avon Marsh. So they are ranked 1 for that, and so I would so tonight we want to award the CE services contract to Avon Marsh. If there are any questions, I can entertain this as well.
Any questions, folks? Need a motion for that?
I move that we do that.
Motion and a second to award the CE services contract to Avon Marsh. Discussion? What's the value?
Yes, so this is, gotta remember offhand, this construction, the overall construction amount is around 800,000. And in our budget, I believe we have roughly 25 or so in that for CE services. I can double check those numbers, I apologize.
So do we need to make it, I'm just concerned, do we need to amend the motion to say not to exceed 25? That's more than that.
We don't have a hard number. It's hard to, I don't want to cut it short, you know.
We can make sure that there is a not to exceed number included in the contract language.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm
I
sorry.
just don't want to have
Open.
an open-ended infinite number at the end, but if it's in the language, that's fine. So.
Yeah.
Any further discussion, Angie, we'll talk about awarding the CE services contract for the Marquette Greenway Trail to Adam Marsh, is scored by Tony, Brad, and Kate. Anything further? Roll call please.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensland,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Bozak,
Yes.
Commissioner Loving.
Yes. Tina, anything else with Marquette Greenway?
Yes, hold on, I was just seeing if I could double check that number for you. Okay, so, may I go ahead and just make a correction to the amount that I
Sure.
just spoke to as it relates to the CMAQ funding? So the overall project budget is $809,176. So that's total cost. And of that amount, $120,000 is budgeted for CE services.
Sorry, it's already budgeted, so.
Yeah.
The number, I mean, it matters, but as a percentage of the total, it doesn't matter.
And then this project, just continuing with the phase one of the project, the actual construction, and coordinating with NERC and NDOT, we're looking at a letting in fall of 22. So this fall would be when that project would actually go to construction. That one was bumped a couple times because of the environmental issues that had delayed the project. Just an update on phase 1B. So this is a bridge that would take us over the Little Cal and then complete the trail over to the town of Porter. This section of the trail was included in the NERC RAISE grant. So this was a federal grant. They kind of did a regional package, sent it to the feds. We were, NERC was awarded, and Burns Harbor within that 4.3 million has been allocated to support construction of the trail. So there's no environmental done on this section of the trail. There's no design and engineering. So this is at a very conceptual stage right now. But I just wanted to make you aware that we continue to have communication with NERC on a monthly basis. We're anticipating a kickoff meeting to talk about the grant. So I'll be telling you more about the strategy of how that project will be, how it will be moving forward as we know more from NERC. But again, that's about 4.3 million to construct, 20%. It's an 80-20, so 20% coming from local match, which is about 870,000 right now. NERC is continuing to work and see if there are ways that they can fill in some of the gap potential. They see a shift in our local match share, but more to come on that. The next, any questions on that one? The next phase of the project is what we call essentially it's the recreational trails program section, but it's the two bookends that are on the opposite sides of the 28 acres. And this project is, we have an opportunity, two things. It's ready to move into the construction phase now that the environmental's been approved. But we have an opportunity similarly to look at the engineering services that would help the town oversee that construction, putting the project out to bid and overseeing the construction firm that would be awarded and so forth. In talking with the state and with President Loving, we have the ability to just go out and obtain 3 quotes for construction engineering services from some of the firms that I just mentioned that responded to the other project for CE services. We can go back to some of those and just obtain a quote. This one is the dollar amount that's around the $25,000 range. So we are under the procurement levels that would allow us just to go to ask for quotes instead of the lengthier bid process. So I just bring that before the commission tonight, just to affirm that we can move in the direction of obtaining quotes for construction engineering services on the RTP grant.
You make a motion.
I'm waiting for somebody to make a motion. I'd make them if I could. So I was hoping Angie would when I was looking at her like.
I knew you wanted
make the
something, but I
motion.
wasn't. I don't have the exact language I need to say first, so I'm. Probably just make the motion.
Yeah, I move that we, put out request for bids.
No, this is not a request for bids,
No.
just to proceed with a request for quotations.
Request for,
That's why
I
I just, that's why I'm confused. I didn't, we had a motion to have quotes though.
We talked about it when we said we're gonna make a motion.
Because no-
Yeah, this would just affirm that the group as a whole is,
okay, I move that we do what Tina just said.
We didn't get a motion.
yeah.
So motion to go out for quotes,
Yes,
I will second that, those quotes.
discussion. Roll call please.
Commissioner Inslee,
yes,
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Bozak,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Loving.
Yes.
Sorry.
So with that, we'll be coming back in May with that information, and at that time, we would make a selection and award. And then we would be able to proceed with going out to bid on construction. To follow that. Just 2 more items on Marquette Greenway. We have the coastal program grant that I mentioned. Again, that's a planning process. And next month you'll have, that is an RFP for engineering services. So that will be before you for a selection process. And then I have an opportunity to speak with Shirley Hines regarding the Cleveland Cliff donation. If you recall, at the time that ArcelorMittal was selling to Cleveland Cliffs, they donated $100,000 in grant funds that are passed through a National Fish and Wildlife Foundation grant that Shirley Hines has. So it was kind of an add-on to an existing grant that that organization was managing. So as I think I reported last month, they were out on the 60 acres beginning to do some of their invasive species control and inventory and so forth. So they are a partner on our Lake Michigan Coastal Program Grant. So I just mentioned those 2 items together. With that, that concludes the Marquette Greenway report. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions?
No, everything looks good. Moving right along.
Number 2, Westport.
Yeah, on a Westport update, we did hear from BP in terms of the updated agreement. So that's been distributed to the Redevelopment Commission, an opportunity to look over that. And that will also, President Loving will be taking that before the town council tonight for their approval and signature. But that's an important piece for us to be able to move forward with Westport.
You should have a hard copy of that. So to summarize, this body will pay for it, but ultimately it has to be approved by the town council.
The town council just has to approve that the RDC can pay for it.
It has to approve that as a town. It's because the town is party to it, not the RDC.
The town is the owner of the property,
So Angie has to sign it, not me.
Okay.
and the changes that were requested and approved by BP was payment terms of 60 days rather than, I think it might have been 30 or less, just because of the timing. And then also to require a change order written approval by the town on the RDC should the cost exceed what's anticipated, because they basically had a 50% swing on either side, the high and the low. The range was quite substantial. And we did not want to be on the hook for the high end of that without them coming back and showing us and explaining to us why.
Okay.
Is there anything more on that agreement?
I don't think so.
Okay. And then just continue to interact with the Northwest Indiana Forum on the READY grant. That's the $1 million IEDC funds that will be applied towards the infrastructure of the project. And the RDC and Holiday are continuing to work with bond counsel and on readying the project for going out for finance, and also working to solidify the master development agreement. So we just got some updated numbers, and I think everyone's still reviewing those. That would conclude the Westport report for this evening. Any questions?
New business, Market Greenway Phase 2 authorization to go out for bid. We're gonna hold off on that until
Table that.
next month. So number 2, animal waste dispensers. The quote was, did those feel expensive to everybody else?
It wasn't. I don't think I received the email as it relates to this.
I never saw. I just felt like I was on. Yeah, I know.
I'm like, we're back to the motion
I tried
situation.
really hard to make sure that I was on top of it.
It was in an email.
From who?
I don't remember.
To you? When was the email?
It might have been only to me.
You know, I may, for my sins, I actually know something about
Oh, wait, did you? Well, that's from 2021.
dog poop dispensers.
I wanna know why.
No, please proceed.
Okay,
What's the agenda?
we did this in the village, and I was the designated research person
You were the guy.
for the, yeah, I'm the go-to guy. And the only thing is that based upon our experience, or well, the thing that we did right is getting dispensers that dispense individual bags instead of rolls, because what we found out in the research was that sure enough, if you get rolls, some kid is gonna grab it and start running with it. And then you're gonna have big streamers of, you know, $40 worth of bags, flapping around in the breeze.
How much were the ones you guys used?
How much are the ones you were looking at?
They're not cheap.
And whatever email you got.
They were like 600.
Mystery. I'm on Amazon, they're like, just do that, can we just go with these?
I don't know. You know,
Can we just go? What's the name of it?
Oh, wait.
is that the,
I don't know. They have those in some other towns around here. Maybe just the names
The
on.
ones I saw were 600.
that's close to what we got. And I see roll.
Okay, we'll do some research.
Uh,
Research is, because I don't know what email you got.
and you can, I mean, you can find the ones, you know, I mean, the dispensers are all over the village. They're not cheap. When we started out, they were everything was made in America, and then the company got sold, and so now I think they're made in China, and they're more expensive, but whatever. But anyways, rolls are bad.
This one does pull bags too.
Okay.
Guess what? Pulls, okay.
And that's about it. Exhaust. There's some other darn thing. Oh, yes. The other problem is that people use the bags, and it is a good reminder, you know, to pick up after your dog, and people figure it out after a while, and then they tie off the bags, and of course the woods are gone now, but they just toss them into the woods, which kind of defeats the whole purpose. But not everybody does that, but just be prepared. You're gonna see bags, if they're, you know, off in the wilderness sections, you're gonna see bags tossed in the woods.
No one's got pull bags.
Cool.
Amazon.
Yes, ma'am.
Just one caution when you're choosing which one to get, I don't know too much about them, but I know we had some environmental hazards or environmental pressures that is very hard on metals and plastics because of our neighbor to the north. I experienced this quite a bit on houses in the village. People learn what's happening to my door now, what's happening to this, it's because we've got acid rain here, so take that into mind as you're choosing whichever one it is. And the gentleman who changes the bags in the village told me the other day that they are currently $172 for 800 bags, so just mention.
Yeah, they're expensive.
A quarter bag.
So that's all I know.
And if you call and ask them how they hold up an acid rain, you'll have to ask it twice because they won't understand. Like what? Nobody's ever asked me that.
Do we want to table this until next month?
Yeah.
Come up with a plan.
It's not easy.
All right, we'll come back to that one next month. Approval of the claims register,
So moved.
Second,
discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Insland,
yes.
Commissioner McCarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Bozak,
Yes.
Commissioner Loving.
Yes, approval of financial report for March 2022,
So moved. Second.
discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Insland,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Bozak,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Loving.
Yes. Go to the order.
I actually have something. I'd like everybody to think about this. I'm not making any kind of motion or anything, but I think as we get closer to actually digging and putting in infrastructure, et cetera, we need to up our public relations game a bit. We're gonna be be doing some things, that, nobody wants press releases about signing contracts and stuff like that, but they, we have photo-ready opportunities coming up that that highlight what we're doing in the town. And I think we did this in the past. It worked really well. We got a lot of interest downstate, and we need to take control of the narrative. If we just let the press find us, they're not going to put in the things that we want to emphasize, like we're not just a bedroom community. We actually have land for commercial and light industrial, etc. That we are equidistant between two stations on the South Shore. We're all part of that double tracking narrative that is getting so much attention. Michigan City has got some big project going on that isn't even near the South Shore, but it gets tied in with that South Shore thing. If you put South Shore double tracking on the press release, it gets attention right now. So we need to take advantage of that, stuff like that. And so we need to take control of the narrative. We need to present ourselves because there are people, there's people that live within 3 miles of Burns Harbor that have absolutely no idea what Burns Harbor is about, what we have, what's going on, etc. And can you imagine that somebody from Carmel, Indiana, they have absolutely no idea, what's going on up here, and we need to put things forward. We also need to. We are in competition with other communities. I keep seeing a constant drumbeat coming out of Michigan City and Hammond, and I think we need to, put our best foot forward and sort of counterbalance. Still, obviously, somebody's looking at them. Why aren't they looking at us? So those are my reasons. You guys may not agree with me that we actually need some assistance on doing that, or how we're going to do that. Do we need somebody part-time? Do we need somebody full-time? How much time, etc. And that's what I want you all to kind of think about. Maybe we can put this on the agenda for next month and start discussing it. And also figure out when we need to start. We need to start early, etc. What I'm seeing in the press, what's left of the press, is that they're relying more and more on press releases. And when we had, was it Danielle here? Whoever heard, she had a press release list, email list that she had cooked up. That was absolutely fantastic. Because I see stuff, coming out of Indianapolis, our Burns Harbor being mentioned, downstate, and normally they all ignore us up here. I mean, she really, it worked. You know, we can't do this forever, but, you know, we've got things to say. You know, we've got a honking big bridge going over the Norfolk Southern Main Line. And that's big. It's big because it's going to attract all those train spotter people.
Enthusiasts.
And hopefully we'll actually have a few businesses that we can get them to eat lunch here or something. Or buy things. Or want to live here. So that's my pitch.
For next month. Anybody else?
Make a motion to adjourn. Second.
That'd be
I did.
discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Bozak,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensland,
Yes.
Commissioner McHarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Loving.
Yes. We're adjourned.